I've done the race twice before, and anybody that's done the race, just you have to do it again for some reason. I can't even explain it. It's not quite as nutty as doing like a solo around the world or anything like that, but being out in the ocean 1,000 miles from nowhere is somehow addicting.
The high's pretty far north, and you know, it looks like the isobars and the trades are going to be tight and filled in. So you know, we're expecting a fairly fast race. The tricky part for us, and I think a lot of the starts, is going to be getting out into the synoptic breeze.
I have done a Transpac. I did a Transpac once before on a Hobie 33. There were 4 of us. It was a lot of fun. It was a challenge because it's a small boat.
Yeah, the first one was in 1965 on a boat called Stormvogel from South Africa. And I've done a lot of them since, but I've missed a few when we had our kids. You know, I've probably done pretty close to 20.
Well, this is probably 50 years effort here in getting ready to go across an ocean, and now finally on my own boat and with the best crew in the Pacific right here with me.
What am I anticipating? Joy, excitement, fear, terror. There's always that moment when you go, why the hell are we doing this? What are we doing out here? But then, you know, that goes away and you finish. And you swear to yourself maybe you won't do it again, and a month later you're like, okay, let's sign up for the next one.
You know, we've got nice food, and I mean, the problem is we've got so much, this boat's so heavy, and there's so many supplies on board that we need to sail well in the light air to get out to that breeze, and that's going to be the tricky part. Almost the whole race is in the next 24 hours for us, I think.
First one was in 1965 on a boat called Stormvogel from South Africa. And I've done a lot of them since, but I've missed a few when we had our kids. You know, I've probably done pretty close to 20.
Well, this is probably 50 years effort here in getting ready to go across an ocean, and now finally on my own boat and with the best crew in the Pacific right here with me.
What am I anticipating? Joy, excitement, fear, terror. There's always that moment when you go, why the hell are we doing this? What are we doing out here? But then, you know, that goes away and you finish. And you swear to yourself maybe you won't do it again, and a month later you're like, okay, let's sign up for the next one.
You know, we've got nice food, and I mean, the problem is we've got so much, this boat's so heavy, and there's so many supplies on board that we need to sail well in the light air to get out to that breeze, and that's going to be the tricky part. Almost the whole race is in the next 24 hours for us, I think.
This race is very, very special. It's a race that's long. It is over probably a 7-day race for most boats. You have all kinds of conditions. You're in a tight group, in a tight space for many days, and you just finish. I mean, the finish at Diamond Head Buoy in Honolulu is like none other. You finish a long passage like that and you feel a great self-confidence, and you've just completed an unbelievably wonderful, wonderful experience.
This year we're probably looking at about a 10-day race. That's what our current routing has it at. So I'd like to be optimistic and say we'll get there in 9 and change. So we'll see.
Well, this will be number 25 for me, so that is the race record, and that, I guess, looks like a goal, doesn't it? Just, you know, culminate a successful program. That would be my goal.
This race is an honest-to-God ocean race. It covers thousands of miles, and so there is a genuine risk that has to be addressed. So I really appreciate the Transpac Race Committee and the organizing authority to put a lot of pressure on us to do training beforehand, to go out and actually touch all the bases, such as doing safety issues regarding retrieving people in the water, making sure that you've got all of your training done, such as how to steer the boat in the case of emergency, making sure you've got your safety certs done in terms of your offshore training, your certificates, making sure people have first aid on the boat, first aid skills. So we take it very seriously. You know, there's no fun in it if nobody's coming home, you know, not fully intact. So that's the key metric for safety. And so we take it very seriously, and myself as the skipper of the boat takes it especially concerning, because if someone gets injured on the boat, I'd have to live with that, and I just don't want to do that. So we spare no expense in trying to do the right thing in terms of safety for the crew and for the boat. But the crew first, boat second.
Personal goals for the race is, you know, we'd like to do well in the class, obviously, and but main thing is finish the race and keep the boat moving, not have any issues with the boat, and crew keep working the boat hard every day, every night. If we do that, we should, you know, we hope the boat will finish well.
The Transpac is absolutely one of the must-do races for ocean racers. And I have yet to do a true long-distance ocean race. I've done mostly Fastnet, Middle Sea, Bermuda, Sydney, Hobart on my prior boat, all of which are under, you know, 630 miles. So this is a beast of a race in terms of distance, enjoyable in terms of conditions.
So I like offshore sailing, and I like the teamwork. I like sailing offshore. I like sailing at night. Racing is, you know, a tremendous way to get better and be a better sailor. And I think, you know, we like to have fun, sail fast, be safe. And I have a great crew that enjoys doing the same thing. So hopefully the outcomes are good, and we arrive in Hawaii having been proud of the accomplishment.
Got it. See you in a little bit. Fun out there. Always. Got two kites to the door to the bathroom, and it knew that.
Aloha, Transpac Race fans. This is Dobbs Davis, technical editor with Seahorse magazine, giving you our daily analysis report for Monday, the 19th of July. Now, opening up on the tracker, you can see the big picture here. The high ridge is behaving nicely according to our forecasts and predictions that we discussed yesterday, staying up well up to the north of the course area. The green 15 to 20 knot winds are lining up nicely, giving everybody good fast rides. The fleet is converging up toward the Great Circle route, which is the fastest and shortest distance to, sorry, not the fastest, but certainly the shortest distance to Hawaii. So this is setting up to be like we were predicting before and a classic Transpac race. Now, just zooming in, we're going to look at a few more details as we talk about today. Our big story, of course, is Ho'okalea here. There they are. As you can see, they're punched out in front of the fleet. They are actually just past the halfway mark, so no doubt celebrations on this boat that has a mix of Hawaiians and Californians on board. Cecil Rossi is the skipper. He's done, he said, over 20 Transpacs and Tahiti races, so he's certainly a strong veteran of this race. They're in the first race starters, so they're the fastest out of that initial group that started almost a week ago. This is why they're out here punched out in front. The other boat to look at here is Pyewacket. Pyewacket, of course, is the fastest of the last day starters, last Saturday. Now, they're going at 17.6 knots. Cecil and his team are going 11.8. So if you do a little math here, you can, and if you assume they're going at the same speeds, they should be converging with each other sometime close to getting to the finish. And my calculations indicate that they'll be probably on the north shore of Molokai on final approach into the finish in Oahu, where my guess is Pyewacket will probably get out ahead of Ho'okalea then. So anyway, so that's interesting news and kind of a good testament to how the organizers have spread out the classes and their start times in this cycle. They moved the slowest boats even one day earlier. Normally they start on Wednesdays. This year they start on Tuesdays. So let's zoom in a little more so we get a little bit better picture here of what's happening. So in the last 24 hours, a lot of these boats that were in this range, actually probably over this range yesterday in the first group, have sagged up to maintain their speed, are getting up here into those slot car lanes. No, for sure they've got spinnakers up, so they're sailing at their VMG angles now, probably on starboard jibe. Now, looking at these guys and that change of course, that indicates maybe they got lifted enough already to think about jibing to port. And not having enough loss in order to do that. So maybe they don't like going in a slot, Stan Honey's slot cars racing, he calls this middle part of the course, that they don't want to be up into this lane. They want to be on a little bit of a lower lane. Likewise here, this track deviation here for Ho'okalea has, to me, indicates maybe they jibe to port. Spend some time on port jibe, just getting down in the south, and then have jibe back now to starboard. So these guys are already in the sort of the end of the slot car racing and maybe into the running part of the race, which is in this case the last half of the course. And then it's going to be playing shifts, just VMG sailing down to where they think they're going to think about where they want to be on final approach into the islands. Now. One of the things that's interesting is that, this isn't a uniformly green area of wind or fields of wind, if you believe the forecast. So here with these oranges indicate maybe the isobars are a little bit tighter. Their north-south positioning is going to depend on how much faith you place in the models. Yesterday we discussed GFS and NAM models. So the navigators here, if they've got grid file access and they're using routing programs, they'll be looking closely at whether this is worth trying to stay into and lining up for, because there's more wind here than there is, say, up here, or more wind here than down here. So they'll be looking ahead at patches like that. Meanwhile, our Friday starters and Saturday starters have started to mix up. We're starting to see, certainly Pyewacket being way out here, has already passed almost all the boats who started on Friday. And they're sailing at really very different angles in a turbocharged Volvo 70 than here the guys on Brett Walda are leading the group of Friday starters. So while they may look similar, they're probably in different modes completely, just because the boats are so different. Their sail plans are different, and therefore their performance envelopes are different. I think if we look down here, Compadre, Good Energy, these guys are electing to be in these low roads, whereas some of these other guys, like you look at here at Kazan, they're on a fairly high angle here. Again, that could be sail plan. They're not ready to deploy a sail that would allow them to sail lower angles. They're sticking with their higher angle sail, whether it's a jib top or a blast reacher or something of that matter. Whereas these guys may be far enough west with the wind shifted far enough aft or back to the northeast that they can set those sails and suitable for those conditions. Just a little bit of news from the race area. We get 0800 position reports every morning from our race committee. These are mostly long sort of strings of position data, but there's also some comments. The guys on Triumph, for example, reported that this morning they had 100% overcast in their sky. The wind was 13 to 18 knots. 1024 millibars. Now, yesterday we talked about the significance of the 1020 line. These guys are far enough north, and how you find Team Way is you can use this tab here and find the guys on the Triumph, and there they are. So they're actually well amongst the group there. So 1024 is interesting. I'm not sure if that lines up with what we saw yesterday in those weather maps, but nonetheless, pretty high pressure, and yet they're still speeding along. They have the A2 spinnaker up, so those guys are already in their downwind sails. They say, let's see, same old with some light spots, slow lifting. So looking at breeze shifting aft, hoping for sun. Interesting watching boats change sides of the course and wondering why. Well, my interpretation is based on not just on wind direction, but also what they have in their sail plans. The guys on Artemis, if we go to our board here and look for them, these are amongst the. And by the way, Triumph was a Friday starter. Artemis was a Saturday starter. It's a very fast racer cruiser Botine 65. They actually also had a rating change. There was some correction to their certificate. That only affects their not their elapsed time, of course, but what their corrected time will be. And I haven't looked into what that change is. So you may have seen some slight change in their leaderboard positions from yesterday. But nonetheless, that's been fixed. They report seas of 2 to 3 feet, overcast skies, wind 15 knots, and a 1023 millibar, so roughly the same high pressure. And then the last one I want to talk about here is Nereid. This is a J125. A J125 Hamashi was our overall race winner in corrected time 2 years ago in the 2019 race. There's a couple of them out on the race course this time. And this team from San Diego is doing pretty well, 10.3 knots of boat speed. They're sitting well. They're second in their division at the moment. And they report wind at 15 knots, 1026 barometric pressure, so pretty high. Barometric pressure 1021. Okay, that makes a little more sense. And seas at 3 feet. They missed an 8 foot long, 8 foot by 3 foot long log by 3 feet yesterday. Bit of a reality check. This reminds me of several years ago after the earthquake and tsunami in Japan in 2011. for the next few Transpacs, there was a lot of debris out on the race course, and we had boats hitting things, reporting things. This is the first report that I've seen of any debris out on the course, and of course, hitting something big with a carbon boat is not good. Again, it's good to see that this is the only report so far. Hopefully we don't see many others. And this part of the North Pacific is relatively clean. They say they also had their first flying fish, and it hit their youngest team member, 17-year-old Calvin Schmidt, hitting him in the arm. So there's a little reality check for a first-time Transpac sailor that there's danger out there, even things jumping out of the sea. But I'm sure he's having a great time. So they're looking forward to getting their running kite up today. So they still have a reaching kite that they're using at this angle. So we'll look for a track change for them at some point, probably in tomorrow's sked. Let's see. And then one last but not least report comes from, and I'll just put it out in front here. This is from the folks on Nalu 5. They're Cal 40. They're racing for a cause. One of their teammates had passed from ALS, and they're sailing in memoriam of this fellow. His name is Mark Butterman. They've set up a donation page for ALS research in his name and honor. They've collected $22,000, which is pretty impressive, but they want to get to 50. So I throw this out there to anyone who is interested in charitable causes, and this is certainly one. This team has done a great job. They also have some other stories. Looks like they're eating well with avocado toast for the second day and enchilada pie. They did have one incident with an after guy breaking and having to retrieve a kite. The kite tore. They put it up again. They've got some sail repairs to do, and this is kind of reminds me of the days when we had symmetric spinnakers. Not many of those left, and the constant maintenance and attention you have to pay to chafing and wear on after guys and halyards and so forth. So this is normal Transpac stuff and normal part of seamanship that makes for a great race. So with that thought, I will leave you for today. I'll look forward to giving you more stories for tomorrow. And from the Trans-Pacific Yacht Club, I'm Dobbs Davis. So long for now.